Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Expat American. I am the Expat American. Is Russia a scary place? I'm standing here in Moscow, Russia, in Red Square. And what I've been trying to figure out from this video series is Russia a scary place? What do you think of Russia? What does America think of Russia? What do Russians think of Russians? And today I'm going to interview someone who is not American, who is not Russian, who is not even a Westerner, and see what he thinks of Russia right now. Here I am with my first Finnish friend. His name is Igor. Did I say that correctly, Igor?
If in Russian, yes, Igor.
And what if it's not in Russian?
Igor.
Igor. That sounds American. Igor.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So I just thought it would be interesting to interview someone who is not an American and not a Russian and see what he thinks of this world. And Igor is someone who has a fondness for Russia, I think. So we're going to talk about that in this interview. But first up, Igor, tell us basically, who are you?
Yes, I'm Igor. I'm Igor in Russia. I'm a YouTuber and among some other things, but in this context, especially YouTuber filming, especially St. Petersburg, neighboring areas, and fondness. Yes, I have basically my roots are in Soviet Union, Soviet Latvia. I'm not Latvian, but I was born in Soviet Latvia. I have some Finnish roots as well. I'm mainly Russian, having some little Ukrainian, some Belarusian, and Russian in me, and mostly Russian in me with Finnish roots as well. So we moved in '92 in Finland as the Ingrian Finns, and since then I've been living my life here. But I truly fell in love with Russia, where I'd never been to properly before 2016, and I fell in love with St. Petersburg from the very first glance. It was like butterflies. I never felt it before, never. And that was truly like life-changing moment for me, one of the defining moments for me. And a little bit later, I traveled a lot because it pulled me in. It's not just the city; it's also maybe the Russian people, the culture. I felt at home, maybe even for the first time. I don't know, or I'm like, especially warm feeling that maybe.
Well, I mean, St. Petersburg alone is a wonderful city. I mean, it's arguably one of the best cities in the world. Arguably, I'm not saying it is, but
it is.
I mean,
it's a fact.
It looks in general like Europe, and it's clean and nice, and a little bit of Venice thrown in there, a little bit of Paris thrown in there. The prices are great compared to Moscow. It's certainly compared to America. So it's hard to beat, except for maybe the weather can be a bit rough.
Yeah,
from what I hear.
And in Finland, I'm like I live in Helsinki, but I travel as much as I can to St. Petersburg, and because I have devoted myself all of my free time basically to my channel and making and filming more and more reality, a little bit just like your channel, and so I travel from Helsinki to St. Petersburg as much as I can, but it's especially during these times it's pretty hard because it's like 3-hour train drive. It takes now from 8 to 9 hours by bus, and the prices are up. But I do it because I love it.
Yeah. No, that's clear in your videos. Yeah, go check out his channel when you're done listening to us speak, guys. He wanders around St. Petersburg and talks about the history and what he can see, and shows different things, the good and the bad, or let's say the wonderful and perhaps a little bit ancient stuff.
Yes, and not so wonderful as well. Many people think that there's so much of beautiful stuff that I film only beautiful stuff. If there's something to be critical about, I do film it because I'm open for anything. And and I like to say that my channel different. It's like Igor in Russia. It's like film and reality and sites and the culture with the Western perspective. Since I lived all my life in Europe, basically, Russians say very often that well, he's a European, and sometimes and in here in Europe they say he's Russian. So I guess I'm both. I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, my wife was born in the Soviet Union, which I just think is fascinating for the both of you. You know, you're born in a place that technically, legally doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, or
A,
exists
a
forever.
part of history. You know, so
Yes. Yeah.
and I
True.
get and so you moved to Finland, and so now you have Finnish citizenship.
Yeah.
But as an adult, you've discovered this wonderful city in Russia, basically,
Yeah, and
right?
Russia in general as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Where
I
else
guess
have you
it's
been in Russia?
what I filmed most of Kaliningrad, lots of smaller cities in Leningrad region, Vyborg, Gachina, etc. But I have been to Moscow shortly. Then I've been to the place where my family's roots are, Voronezh as well. So I think that's the deepest I've been to. And my dream
Nice.
is to make maybe a living out of this and film and go all the way to Vladivostok. And I'm
Right.
down as long as I have the opportunity.
Right,
Because
right,
right
right,
now I
right,
have to balance, of course,
right. I
between.
had never heard of Voronezh till I did a video on it recently, so it's nice. And I know that our focus with your channel and with mine is on Russia, but just tell us for a moment about your part of the world for all the Americans that are listening, because we don't really know. We know that there's a group of skinny countries clustered up next to Russia, and yours is one of them. And we've seen the Frozen film series and the Thor film series, but other than that, we don't know a whole lot about your neck of the woods.
I guess now people will know more since Finland joined NATO. So I guess it will come out uh, even maybe more. But Finland's had a great this image, not a great brand worldwide among people who do know Finland, but otherwise it get mixed up in the movies with Sweden or portrayed in a funny way. But Finnish people, well, Finland first of all is a really beautiful country and it has its history. And I've also, by the way, filmed Russian Finland series, so I've gone to the on that road and actually found out the especially the positive effects of being part of Russian Empire from 1809 to 1917. And there was a lot of in the end of this Grand Duchy era, meaning Finland was first of all given the autonomy, first time ever. First, it was part of Sweden, and then Russia won the Northern War with Sweden, and they gained Finland as a region, right?
Hmm.
And the first thing Alexander the First, the Tsar, did was gave Finland its autonomy, which was unheard of for any Russian region before that. For example, Polish people were mad about it, I believe, and they were like,
Hmm.
and they had the similar aims to be more autonomous, but they were not granted, and Finland was. And there was a lot of great stuff. Finland evolved during the Russian imperial era a lot, but at the late era during the Nicholas II, before the revolution in Russia, it had its drawbacks, meaning that they started to take out many liberties that were given to them and being maybe somehow Russified, and Finnish people didn't like that, so they used their chance during the revolution and gained their independence. And I think the Soviet Union was the first country to acknowledge Finnish independence, and there's a discussion also, which is not official in Finland, that Lenin actually influenced Finland being autonomous, independent. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's the short story. After that, what culturally Finland is totally different. It's not like Russian, a different language totally. There's a lake of hundreds of thousands, a country of hundreds of thousand lakes. Can you believe that?
Hmm.
People really love the nature, and the people are people are really real, but they're actually also proud. And then, of course, I would be butchered. I would be butchered by Finnish people in the comments in any ways, because I'm Igor speaking about Finnish history and bring in maybe something positive about the history, which is actually factual, but they don't like to hear that usually, because Russia, of course, Russia cannot do anything good for Finland, and even in the history. But anyway, I've explored that in my videos, different stuff, like, and you can check that out more. There's a plenty of them right in front of our eyes. The whole city center of Helsinki wouldn't exist like it is right now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you don't see being part of the Russian Empire for 100 years as necessarily negative. I'm sure there were some negative things, but there's some positive things as well. And it's just, at this point, it's just a part of history, and it has made this territory what it is today. Like, for instance, from what I understand, and the British people watching might tell me I'm getting it wrong, but that England has done so well in history partly because that was the part of Britain that was conquered by the Roman Empire, and so they had certain infrastructure before the rest of
Oh,
Britain, and that kind of put them in the lead for a time.
interesting.
You know,
Yeah.
now I could be completely wrong. If you're British and you hate me, I'm sorry. Forget I said it. Um, but that was the theory that I heard. And yeah, I think it's good for us to take a step back and try to soberly look at all of history and everything, and not just
Hmm.
hate one place. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
because
for
it's not that simple. It's never that
yeah,
simple, even though it's simplified for I don't know, patriotic reasons afterwards, because Finland was unified for the first time. They'd had a civil war after the Finnish independence. It had
mhm,
civil war between the Reds and the Whites won, unlike in Russia where the Reds won.
mm,
Yeah, and then Soviet Union had its war, the Winter War with Finland in 1939, and all that's actually just made things, of course, worse, because that's a huge tragedy for the people, because it influenced so many people. So it's understandable, but then I don't approve, like, forgetting still the facts in the history. And
right,
so
right.
yeah.
What would you say is your goals and hopes and whatnot for your channel? Like, besides having a good time, which I know you like to do and I like to do you have some ambitions, some dreams for the channel?
Yeah, if we're talking about the channel, so first of all, it's really hard actually. I'm not doing my main focus group. My main target group is international audience, because my channel is in English, and it's not aimed for Eastern Europe when it's aimed for international English speaking audiences. So I hope that more and more people would just find my videos interesting. And of course, you and me have to acknowledge that one big part is not just what we film or where we film; it's also our personalities, and
Right.
it's so people have to be in certain way entertained through our personalities as a minimum. So I hope that people just find this whole package interesting,
Yeah.
and if whether they like it or approve it or not, but that's the fact. And then just maybe I hope to bridge the gaps between the stereotypical ideas of the Western people about Russia, and the reality that I show, which is underlying reality,
Right.
whether it's good or bad, or whether you like it or not. So I want to,
Right.
like, bring people together, which is sounds once again also cheesy, like we discussed with you. It sounds cheesy, but that's the main point, and that will influence people a lot, because the problem is with, for example, even Finnish people that live alongside 1,000 kilometers of Russian borders since 1918, and part of Russia also. There's
Hmm.
no common language. There's no understanding of the other culture, and that influences
Mm.
a lot of things, and it gets you to the wrong path. It's easy to start thinking about other personal culture or a country in a way, if you're talking about only if you're watching it inside of it through politics, something like that. I wish that
Right.
people more and more would see that through the eyes of people, that everywhere is people that appreciate, family, the loved ones. They want better life for their children, and all the
Hmm.
rest of the stuff is it's politics, and you have other channels and media you can make your decision on and
Right,
get your
right.
information from. So
Do
I want
you
to
do
bring
you
the
want to
other side.
share? I'm curious. What's your audience like now, percentage wise?
It's a lot of them are still Finns, and but the American and English speaking is growing very nicely. And I'm also on YouTube, on Facebook, by the way, and that's their audience is, by the way, is much more bigger.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so
Oh,
I do both channels, and but the content is a bit different because people use the social media differently. People like to
right,
watch people like to watch us. I hope on YouTube, but Facebook it can be like more informative, not necessarily so
right,
much personality driven.
right. And you
So
have Russians as well, I take it, on your
yes,
channel.
and a lot of them Russians and Russian speaking, but all around the world I have like Southern Americans, West Europe, all around the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I hear you. I mean, my first week of videos, I did 5 videos. I tried to be just like a straight newsman and just be
yeah,
completely bland. And it didn't work. I couldn't keep it up. I had to let my personality out and be myself.
yeah,
And I think it's helped the channel because we don't want to just give information. We do want to entertain people as well and have a good time with
yeah,
our subscriber family. For me, my audience is Russian, American, Canadian, German, and British.
yeah.
Um, and
That's good.
part of the reason why it's good for us to collab and to do other collabs with other people is we can, people can learn about us and we can learn about other people and we can
Yeah.
share our audience and help make these different YouTube channels around Russia become more international, let the world know what Russia's really like. I
One
know you.
thing,
Yeah,
one
go ahead. Go
great
ahead.
thing about our channels is also the member side of the community. There's quite a few people who want to like involve themselves deeper in the channel,
Mhm.
at least mine for an athlete. And so it feels like they're like the inner circle or maybe some extended family as well, because
Yes, the
I've
super
never met these
fans.
people. Yeah, I haven't met these people, but it feels like I know them, even though I don't actually know what they look like, even most of the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
So you said before that you fell in love with St. Petersburg, and is there any other reason why you feel like you want to focus on Russia? Like if someone were to be an angry Finn and say, "Why isn't he making videos about Finland?"
yeah.
Um,
I don't know. There's a lot of, I guess, different people like to do different stuff, and you just answer to your calling. But it felt right, and plus I decided so that I can use my ability to I decided that and it felt right that with my background understanding pretty well, and basically if I would like to, you would know that I'm even Russian at all being here. If I would want to, I could represent totally like European side of things, but I think I want to exploit this possibility where I can understand the Western perspective, understand what's going on here, and also understand, because of my language and basically maybe even mindset in some parts is Russian, that I can combine these things and package them in a way that I can explain why certain countries feel about Russia in a certain way, or why Russians feel about certain countries each way. And
right.
not just talking about the media or like propaganda. Propaganda is everywhere, by the way. But understanding the way people think on both sides, and that's what
Mhm.
I wanted to use my background and just package it in a video. Plus, I want to be in my most favorite city, so this way, all these parts combined is equal to Igor Russia channel.
Right, 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 right,
But
right.
I had some
So
crazy ideas as well. I'm like aiming. Do you say aimingly? I have like goals to
you're
film
aiming for.
aiming for filming the whole St. Petersburg, all the regions of St. Petersburg, and I've done that. I have like 1,000+ videos on a Google map, and you can actually just find any place you like. That's more than the tourism ministry has ever done, and I've done it all
Wow.
by myself. Yeah, like you
So
can go.
what languages do you speak and what countries have you been to outside of Finland and Russia?
Uh, I speak, well, my native language is Russian, but I speak Finnish better. I speak even English better than my native language because I've never properly like studied Russian in being in Finland. I was 7 when I moved here. But, and I even curse on videos sometimes naturally in Finnish, and maybe people, yeah. And, but yeah, then Finnish, Russian, English, a little bit of German, and of course Swedish because they made me. In Finland, Finland is dual. In Finland, you have to learn the official language is Finnish and Swedish, because there's 4% of Swedish population that make 100% study Swedish.
Huh.
I'm just being a little bit critical here, and but yeah, that's because of the history. Officially, that's the real explanation. Because of history of Finnish, Swedish roots, everybody is studying Swedish as well, and they made me all the way up until I found out that I didn't have to study because I have a second language on my own, second native language. So I stopped that day. But I like actually Sweden and Swedish language. I don't like it. That's it's a compulsory or mandatory.
Right.
Which one is the
Mandatory. Well,
mandatory?
I don't know the difference. Compulsory.
You have no choice, right?
Don't ask me. I'm an American. We know how to say it, but we don't know why we're saying it.
You speak American.
That's right. So what countries have you been to?
Then I've been to Germany, Sweden, Estonia, Latvia, Turkey, Greece, Denmark. I've been to many. Well, not.
Wow.
I guess not. That's not many. Denmark. What else? Norway. It could be more. And there's Asia side is totally empty. I would love, by the way, to visit Northern Korea and China.
Interesting.
All the communist countries. No, but I've watched so many YouTube videos. I feel like I could walk in North Korea in the areas where you can walk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen too many videos because I know these most of the like tourist paths are or these travels are the same because there are certain things they show you.
Sure.
Yeah. So and you cannot wander around.
Right.
But I would love to find that.
You've been to too many countries for me to comment on all of them. I do love Estonia, though, because I went there recently because when I first moved here, I had to leave after 6 months. So I took a quick trip to Estonia right before I started the channel. So I got some good pictures with myself and Maxime. The rest of the family had to stay behind.
You have to visit Latvia. It's called...
really?
I think it's called Pearl of... Is it the Pearl? Like the... something you wear, pearl?
Yeah, exactly.
Pearl of Baltics.
Wow, I know nothing about it.
It's the well, I might be biased in some ways, even though I'm from Soviet Latvia, which they don't like me to say out loud. But it's the most beautiful city out of them all. Sorry, Estonians and Lithuanians, but Latvia and Jūrmala, the beaches of Jūrmala, the best Northern European beaches ever. And I've also filmed the Soviet locations of Latvia quickly with Riga on my channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll have to check it out. I mean, as far as countries you've mentioned that I haven't yet been to, the number one on my list that you said I would pick Germany. Believe it or not, I've never been to Germany. I've been to Western Europe, but Germany has always escaped me. And for all of its history, I just think it would be fascinating to go through Germany, and not even the past 100 years, but even the stuff older than that, like southern Germany, where you have all the medieval.
What
stuff.
about the Soviet part of Germany, like the?
That would be very interesting to see as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
My dream is to film also, of course, the Russia. But I would love to also film the Slavic countries, especially Belarus, Serbia, and these culturally, brotherly nations. Not politically, but but also politically, sure. I want to just visit these countries and find these Slavic cultures because they're so close to my culture, Russian culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to start getting towards the end with something kind of fun. When I met you and saw you and watched your videos, I thought to myself, this guy looks and sounds a bit like a rapper, and I'm not
Ah,
joking. Um, and in fact, you are. Is that correct?
yes, I've been. Well, I think I'm in my heart. I'm more like an entrepreneur type of thing. So that's why I
Uh-huh.
have a lot of projects having to do with entertainment, and this is also entertainment. I guess that's something that drags me myself in. But yeah, I've been making rap music in English notes in since 2002, I think, and I've gotten some pretty okay. What's the word for it? Success.
Success?
Not the best. I didn't break through, maybe, but I did what I can do. Plus, on the, after the big when I've really focused and I've released many albums. I had hundreds of shows. I performed also in Latvia and many festivals in Latvia. But otherwise,
Wow.
mostly in Finland, yes. And but then after all that, I had this thing with the Finnish student culture, and
Mhm.
I made a song. So I combined. I was into student culture when I was studying after my rap career, after sort of, and I combined these two things, and I created a new artist named Igor, and I made some music about student culture, which is very. You can do a whole show about it. It has its own different etiquettes and everything. It's very different.
Wow.
It's not just drinking. It's about like traditions and etc. Really old ones, and the
So you see,
overall.
guys, he's not just a Finnish man. He's a famous person that I've brought to you and
Yeah, and I
listened
made
to all
actually my
this time.
biggest hit came with that song about student culture, and with no record company except my own distribution. We made a song with no marketing. It has now 1.2 million plays. I've done tens and tens of shows and performed with the Finnish legendary artist Frederick, and also and by the way, the song's name is Finn Will Always Win, and and
So
all sorts of stuff.
what internet search should we do so we go look up the best of you to learn who
Well,
you
my
are if
English
we don't
stuff
know
is
who you are?
mostly missing, but there's one album, I Am Igor, with the Soviet thing, by the way.
Okay.
But Igor is artist by the name of Igor, and there's like lots of Finnish names. But if you check out the albums, there's an album, I Am Igor, and there's some like English raps, and even though it's me just saying, I have to say that I still am pretty good in rapping in English. Yeah,
Okay.
probably
Wow.
the best there ever was in Finland.
Nice. I like that. I like your confidence.
Confidence and yeah, I like the
But
American
anyway,
accent.
I want you to think about what you'd like to leave us with. If you want to tell us one more thing, anything at all. But guys, both Igor and I want our channels to do well because we want to let the world know the truth about Russia. So if you haven't done it already, please subscribe to both of our channels, watch some of our videos, share it with your friends, and we'll put the links down below. Obviously, I have done an interview like this on his channel. So if you want to hear him ask me questions, you can go do that. And we're also hoping to make plans to do something in person because he's going to be coming to Moscow shortly. So hopefully I'll be in town for that. But
Definitely.
yeah, like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. And Igor, finish
Take it
us up
away.
with something inspiring.
Check it out. No, I was doing my Ali G impression. Yo, check it out. No, you're very on point, and just want to say that I guess the best thing you can do is just stay open-minded. Not that you have to think a certain way. Just think whatever you like, as long as you have things to compare, and not take everything black and white. After all, the cat says Igor is right in the background, and you definitely just open mind. If not everything is not black and white, and the world is large, and Russia is even larger.
So guys, what do you think? How were we? Were we smart? Were we funny? Were we intriguing in some way? Click like, subscribe, ring the bell notification, click all when you do, and interrupt my speech right now. click share and send this video to your friends, and then click the box to see what happens next.